There's something about a new year, a fresh start, a time to reboot or tweak areas of your life that need an adjustment or a redo. Any decision to change habits, especially nutrition and health ones, takes work, right? The bariatric lifestyle is no exception. There's a lot to learn and to know how to deal with. So this year, my focus word is immerse. Coming up, let's use the word immerse as a mnemonic to look at 7 powerful strategies that you can put into place for a successful bariatric lifestyle.
Looking for an easy-to-swallow multivitamin that also smells good instead of vitamin-y? Check out the once-a-day easy-to-swallow tablet from ProCare Health with new scent certs. The orange scent inside the bottle makes supplements not only smell better, but taste better too. It's a whole new way to experience your once-daily vitamin. Visit ProCareNow.com and use code Susan10 to save 10%.
Hi, I'm registered dietitian nutritionist Dr. Susan Mitchell, ex-radio dietitian turned podcaster. You're listening to the Bariatric Surgery Success podcast, episode number 155. Are you frustrated with all the confusion, all the misinformation when it comes to nutrition, especially bariatric nutrition? Eat this food. No, don't eat that food. Try fasting or do the keto diet. Heck, why don't you just reset your pouch? It's enough to make you throw up your hands and shout, forget about it. I don't know what to do. Well, I do. I know what to do. It matters where you get your nutrition information. When it comes to bariatric surgery, nutrition is specific. So we're going to cut through the nonsense. We're going to get the accurate nutrition information you want. Simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies that work. Because I want you to feel well every day. Go out and do the things you want to do. And I created Bariatric Surgery Success for you. You're in the right place, and I'm glad you're listening. And would you share the podcast with someone you feel would benefit? And if you love the podcast, would you write me a review on Apple Podcasts? I'd really appreciate it. But before I jump into the podcast, are you dealing with dumping syndrome today? Maybe you have a stomach ache, you're sweating, have a headache, some dizziness, even diarrhea. Experiencing dumping syndrome is no fun. It wrecks your day and it can interfere with your weight loss journey. But there are things that you can do. So I have 4 tips that you can try now in my freebie. I'll put the link in the show notes just for you. Are you feeling a little worn out from the holidays? Has the scale ticked up a few pounds and you're not happy about it? Did you overindulge a bit? Do you feel frustrated with where you are right now? That's okay. You're definitely not alone. But let's get past the things of last year that want to haunt you and hold you back from your potential now. I love a new year, and today's a new day. Let's approach it with hope and openness as to what you can accomplish, your expectations. As I just mentioned, this year, my focus word is immerse. It's easy to remember, so let's use it as a mnemonic for 7 strategies. I want to make this your year to live a successful bariatric lifestyle. It's never too late, no matter if you think you've failed or you've gotten totally away from where you need to be. You haven't failed, by the way, and you are not a failure. So let that go. Food doesn't define who you are. It's food, and we're working on it. That's the beauty of now, a new year. So let's go and let's do this together. Immerse yourself this year, starting with the letter I, which stands for individual. You, my friend, are a one-of-a-kind individual. You are wonderfully made. No need to try and copycat someone else. It won't be as good as you are now. No FOMO or fear of missing out allowed. The focus this year is on you, the individual you are right now. So decide not to compare yourself any longer to anyone else, especially people you see on social media that appear perfect. They aren't. You're unique and special. Own that right now. Don't allow anyone or anything to steal that from you this year. Hear that again and say it with me. Ready? I am unique and special, and I won't let anyone say differently. So let's focus on you and your individual needs. Bariatric surgery is different for each person because, as we said, your body is unique to you. What works for someone else may not work for you. Keep your eyes on you and your needs. Take an inventory of where you are right now and where you want to go. Write it down in a journal or in your phone notes and date it. We'll cover this more as we get into expectations in just a minute. So the first M of IMMERSE is mix it up. A bariatric way of eating is not a diet. Sure, you hear it called a bariatric diet. Let's follow the bariatric diet. But really, it's a lifestyle. When I was teaching college students, they used to say to me, diet is a 4-letter word. Drop the T and I feel like I'm going to die. Ooh, that is so true, right? I'm not a fan of diets. They never work long term. This bariatric lifestyle is not a diet or a boring way of eating bars and shakes that excludes everything good. Not at all. It's real food and good, tasty food. So, okay, the portions are smaller. It can still be food that you love, and from a bariatric perspective, will love your body back. True, when you first have surgery, you're very limited, right? But as you heal and you progress, this is the time to learn to eat well, make smart choices, and mix it up. No boredom allowed. When you're bored, what happens? You know what happens, right? When you're bored with what you eat, the temptation to go back to the way you used to eat is strong. I want you to eat real food so that you enjoy life with the rest of your friends and family, which leads us to the second M in IMMERSE. You're going to morph over time. What does that mean? Well, where do you want to be at the end of this year? What about in 5 years? The way you eat at the end of 1 year should be very different from what you eat the first weeks and months after surgery. Delicious foods, high in protein, veggies, fruit full of fiber, some smart carbs, that is, not slider foods, or foods that are high in sugar and have zero nutritional value. That's basically, a slider food is basically an empty calorie food, meaning there's nothing good in them for your unique body. So you want smart carbs, not slider foods. But wait a minute. Does this mean you never look at a dessert or a goodie of some type again? No, it means you eat well most of the time, with protein always leading the way, and you learn how to work in petite portions of special treats that you love. If you know you can do this without setting off any kind of binge or continuing to overeat them. Now, if you're a regular listener, you know I talk a lot about food and what works, what doesn't. In order to be really successful in bariatric surgery, you want to learn about food and nutrition that is specific to this surgery, not any other diet or lifestyle plan, but what works for this surgery, which leads me to the E in IMMERSE for expectations or your mindset. The beginning of a new year is a popular time for making a list of expectations, goals, if you want to call them that almost never happen, right? Mid-January, which we are almost to, you can count on life pretty much going back to where it was despite good intentions or expectations. Why is this? I think it's because we set so many goals that it's totally unreasonable that we would never be able to meet them. And then we feel like a failure and go, well, forget about it. Well, maybe you're already frustrated with yourself just about 10 days into the new year. Did you set unrealistic expectations for yourself and this year? Where is your mindset in all of these expectations? Life's challenges can overwhelm us, but remember, in the midst of the mess, there is always hope, and hope is here together. Are you ready to totally take on fresh expectations? Or are you asking yourself, what was I thinking? I can't do all of this. It's totally okay. And actually, I think it's very smart to back it up and set one, maybe 2 expectations for yourself this year. But before you do, ask yourself, are you truly ready to meet these expectations? Is your mindset where it needs to be? Have you kicked that stinking thinking to the curb? Think about this for a minute. When you say yes to a new expectation, so whatever the one new thing is, or maybe two that you're deciding for this year, when you say yes to that expectation, you also want to say no to something else. So setting expectations for your self-care is as much about what you will no longer do as it is about what you will do now. So what can you cut out that's no longer serving you? Do you have a plan in place and some friends or family as backup to encourage your mindset and to help you meet these expectations you have for yourself? So to meet these expectations, you've got to ground yourself in reality. So R stands for reality check. For expectations to be met, you have to deal with what's what, the reality of your daily life. Instead of seeing your life through a negative lens and staying in the negativity, waddling in it, decide how you can go about making your expectations come to life in your specific situation. Nothing happens that you really want to happen without doing the work. So begin by writing it down so it becomes real. When you just think about it and you never move on it, expectations never happen. So get a journal, use your phone notes, or I noticed that some of the newer iPhones have actually a journal app. So journal it somewhere, track it in a fitness app if that's your preference, but write down the expectation. 1, remember, 2 at the most, the starting date, and then check-in dates. That means in a week or 3 days, whatever you're going to be comfortable with, you're going to check in. How am I doing? Am I doing it? Do I need to tweak it? Is what I'm doing working? What has to happen? Plus, note what you will do specifically each day between the check-in dates. Then add this daily or every other day event, whatever it's going to be, to your calendar. Now, wait a minute. Did you grab that? You've set your expectation, the starting date, the check-in dates, then add it to your calendar. If you don't give it the importance of a scheduled event, it is not going to happen. The specific things you want to do must become important enough to you for you to give it space in your day and in your life. Which leads me to S, set yourself up for success. Specifically, we're focusing on food and nutrition since that's what I do and love. Do you like to cook? Easy recipes or longer creative ones? Do you enjoy grocery shopping or do you prefer to order groceries or order prepared foods? Do you read labels? Do you really look at what's going into your fabulous, unique body? Well, if not, maybe it's time. Healthy food and solid nutrition are they're more than, how am I going to say this? They're not just a pre or post-op requirement. They're a way of life. A bariatric lifestyle focuses on the right foods and macros, meaning protein, carbohydrate, and fat, in these specific foods that work and nourish the body after your metabolic surgery. So decide, how are you going to make food and nutrition a part of your daily life that becomes a powerful bariatric lifestyle for you? Once you decide, remember, give it a date that you start. What will you do daily or every other day? Have a follow-up date and then give it space in your daily life and calendar. And last, but certainly not least, is E, which stands for enough. You are more than enough. If you're thinking that you're not enough or you can't do this, stop right now. Hear me out. You are more than enough. You've always have been and you always will be. I want you to own how special that you are. I want you to know that making change is not easy for anyone and it takes work. But that's why I suggest only 1, maybe 2 changes at a time. That's all, because anything worth doing is going to take time and work. But if or when, and let's say when, you hit a day or a moment when you think, I can't do this. I am not enough. I am failing. I am sucking at this. I want you to hear this, what I'm going to say again and again. Yes, you are. You are enough and you can do this, and I'm here to help you. So here's what I want you to do this week. So if you're multitasking, listen closely. Answer yourself honestly. Are you feeling like you're not enough? That you have failed at all your expectations? If you feel that way, repeat after me right now. I am enough. I am enough. Then go back through these IMMERSE steps, and as you do, decide on one, maybe two expectations you have for this year. Think through how you will meet these expectations on a day-to-day basis, especially when it comes to food and nutrition. Give it space in your calendar. Approach it with openness and hope. You've got this. Stay focused on your journey. You are worth it.
Bariatric Surgery Success with dietitian Dr. Susan Mitchell is produced and owned by Practicalories, LLC. All rights reserved. Remember, the content provided on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't create a patient-provider relationship. It's intended to provide reference material and is not designed to provide medical advice. Please consult your healthcare provider regarding any medical issues you have relating to symptoms, conditions, diseases, diagnosis, treatments, and side effects. Podcast guests express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions which do not necessarily reflect or agree with the host, Dr. Susan Mitchell, or Practicalories, LLC.